Look, let's just cut right to the chase today because we are completely tearing down the standard self-help fluff. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? The recycled advice. Wake up at 4 a.m., take a freezing cold shower, aggressively journal your goals. But in this explainer, we're throwing that out. If you're looking to actually build a new financial plan and deeply sharpen your professional mindset, we need to look at the exact mathematical frameworks and the actual cognitive models that the top 1% use to dominate. We are moving way past the myths and getting straight to the real strategy. Because here's the thing, you know the type. Waking up before dawn, going full monk mode, grinding for 14 hours a day. But here's the totally harsh reality. Executing perfectly on the wrong things, that's just gonna make you efficiently broke. Pushing yourself to the absolute limit doesn't magically build wealth if the underlying system you're operating in is just fundamentally broken. Author Mark Manson actually throws a massive, completely contrarian hook at us. He says execution is overrated. Now, he isn't saying you shouldn't work hard. Obviously, work ethic matters. But he argues that 99% of the advice out there focuses entirely on execution. Extreme success, the kind we're talking about, doesn't just come from mindlessly sweating more than the next guy. It comes from having a correct, contrarian idea. It's about doing the exact thing everyone else is ignoring and being right about it. See, massive success is incredibly messy. It's nonlinear. Think about Warren Buffett for a second. He has been managing money for over 60 years, yet he straight up admits his insane wealth is the product of maybe 12 truly good decisions. 12. Or look at Steve Jobs. He didn't revolutionize the world because of some punishing daily morning routine. He succeeded because he had the deeply contrarian belief that every desk would have a personal computer, a full decade before anyone else believed it. It's about making a few brilliant choices. So understanding this dichotomy is absolutely crucial. On one side, you've got execution, the 100x effort, the morning routines. On the other side, you have strategy, finding that correct contrarian idea. And mathematically speaking, wealth is not a raw number. It's not just how many dollars you earn. It's a ratio. It is the vital gap between what you make and what you actually keep. And to aggressively widen that gap, you absolutely need a rigid, uncompromising financial system. Which brings us to Section 1, the 25-15-50-10 framework. This is entrepreneur Mark Tilbury's hyper-structured financial system, and it is designed to completely weaponize your income against modern-day lifestyle creep. Let's break down the exact math here, because this framework is designed to work for literally any income level. It goes like this: 25% to growth, 15% to stability, 50% to essentials, and 10% to rewards. If you just follow the default path of society, you are going to spend everything you earn just surviving. This framework is exactly how you fight back and stop being owned by your salary. Let's zero in on that 50% for essentials. These are the things that literally keep you alive and functioning. We're talking rent, groceries, basic utilities. What it does not include is feeding your ego. Forcing yourself to strictly cap these expenses at half your income kills that ego-driven lifestyle creep. You know, the kind of creep that keeps even people making six figures living completely paycheck to paycheck. Next up is the 15% for your stability fund. Tilbury actually shares a pretty harsh personal story about this. At 18, he bought a VW Golf with a loan, and 3 months later, the engine just completely blew up. Because he had zero safety net, he was forced to take on even more debt just to get to his job. It set his finances back an entire year. You need 5 months of baseline expenses sitting in a zero-risk account, so when life's engines inevitably blow up, you aren't forced to sell off your actual wealth-building assets. Speaking of those assets, that's where the 25% comes in. A quarter of your income goes straight into growth. Index funds, real estate, investing in high-income skills. Before you even glance at your bills, you have to pay your future self first. And then, finally, that 10% is dedicated to rewards. Vacations, hobbies, and nice dinner out. Why? Because extreme financial discipline without any joy is just going to feel like a punishment. And that 10% is the secret sauce that makes the whole shebang psychologically sustainable long-term. Now let's move to Section 2, the time buyback loop. Because once your financial baseline is secure, you've got to optimize your ultimate resource. Dan Martell has this ultimate law of wealth, and it is beautifully simple. Broke people buy stuff. Rich people buy time. When you upgrade your lifestyle with a flashy car or a giant house, you are literally paying for those things with the time it took to earn that money. The true flex of the top 1% isn't a designer watch. It's using their capital to literally buy back their hours. And here is exactly how you do it through what he calls the buyback loop. Step 1, audit your time. Look at your week and ruthlessly highlight the tasks that just drain your energy. Step 2, transfer those draining tasks. Hire someone, delegate them, or let AI handle it. Just get them off your plate. And step 3, which is absolutely critical, you have to fill that reclaimed time correctly. Because if you buy back your time just to sit on the couch and scroll your phone, the whole system collapses. You have to fill those bought back hours with high-value activities. We're talking high-level sales, deep strategy, nurturing key relationships, and leveraging your unique unfair advantage. You take that reclaimed time and pour it entirely into building equity machines, assets and businesses that pay you while you sleep. All right, Section 3, train to dominate. Because this entire financial and time management system, it will completely fall apart if your mindset isn't right. So let's pull in some insights from elite sports psychologist Bill Beswick. There's this stark contrast in how humans handle adversity. When things get tough, a victim mentality instantly generates 1,000 excuses. But a fighter mentality looks at that exact same hardship and finds not a single reason to quit. Bestwick actually lived this himself. When he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, he admits he briefly fell into that victim mindset. But with his family's support, he consciously, actively shifted back into a fighter mentality and built an action plan. You literally have to refuse to be a victim. So it really boils down to 3 brutal questions. And I want you to ask yourself these right now. 1, what do you want? 2, how badly do you actually want it? And 3, the big one, are you willing to suffer for it? Because the elite pay a heavy price. These 3 questions are exactly what separate the people who just show up to play from the absolute top tier who train to dominate. Finally, section 4, master your meta models. To handle that suffering and to actually execute everything we've talked about, your mind needs the right structure. Let's dig into learning expert Justin Sung's frameworks to see how the top tier really think. Sung talks about meta models. Now, these aren't just your standard mental models. They are the fundamental frameworks used to apply strategy correctly to really complex, messy problems. Having a brilliant strategy is totally useless if you misapply it because you're stuck in linear thinking. To win, you have to reject those simple, straightforward assumptions. See, most people are trapped in black and white thinking. Like a software team might think, okay, we either move fast or we maintain quality. That is a false dichotomy. Elite thinkers use gray thinking. They look at a messy reality and ask, how do we engineer a process that lets us move fast and maintain quality? They don't run from the complexity, they completely embrace it. And pulling that off requires an anti-comfort mindset. You have to actively seek out where you might be dead wrong to avoid massive blind spots. A great example of this is Toyota in the 1950s. The traditional rule for manufacturing was never, ever stop the production line. But Toyota broke that framing bias. They installed the andon cord, which let any worker pull it and instantly halt the entire factory to fix a flaw and learn from it. It was massively uncomfortable in the short term, but it built an anti-fragile, legendary system. So everything we've covered comes down to a choice between 2 types of pain. Desirable discomfort means paying the price up front. It's doing the hard cognitive work, strictly sticking to that 50% essentials budget, and ruthlessly auditing your time. Delayed discomfort means taking the easy road right now, but paying a massive compounding discomfort debt later in life. This is how Justin Sung's cognitive models completely lock in with Mark Tilbury's financial discipline. So here is the question you have to answer. Are you willing to embrace desirable discomfort today, or are you going to pay a massive discomfort debt tomorrow? If you genuinely want to get ahead of 99% of people, you've got to ditch the productivity hamster wheel, stop the excuses, and start executing this correct contrarian system today. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this gives you the exact tools you need to sharpen your mindset and build real wealth. Catch you next time.